What Resident Evil villains make the best basketball team? This is Nerdist Now. Last week, Resident Evil fans got their best look yet at Resident Evil Village thanks to a live stream presentation as well as a playable demo entitled Maiden available on the PlayStation 5. Now, tiny spoiler warning right here, the 20-ish minute long demo gives players a sneak peek inside the creepy estate of Lady Dimitrescu and her supernaturally powered daughters. Now, not a lot is revealed in the demo aside from some scary doors, dungeons, and winemaking tips, but it did definitively prove one thing. The internet is obsessed with the tall vampire lady. The extreme thirst for Alcina is enough to fill a desert, and Kotaku's Ash Parrish did the Lord's work by calculating exactly how tall the vampiric matriarch is. By using the height of furniture and 15th century door frames, she determined that Alcina is around 8 feet tall. So like we said, there's not a lot to dig into regarding the narrative of Resident Evil Village that hasn't already been revealed, but it did add yet another vertically gifted villain to the venerable Resident Evil franchise. So we're going to rise to the occasion, accept the challenge, and tackle the question that's been on everyone's mind since time immemorial: which Resident Evil villains would make the best basketball team? You're welcome. Now I know you've probably thought long and hard about this. You're probably saying, well, Dan, the tallest villains are obviously the best one for a starting 5. Anybody knows that. And sure, you could use that metric and point to players like Sean Bradley or the 7'7" George Mirasan who had height, but they were never dominant. So to do this right, we need to find a benchmark of undisputed talent that we can all agree on. And that is the dream team from the 1992 Summer Games. With our guide in place, let's start with Alcina herself. As we pointed out before, she's approximately 8 feet tall, which would easily make her a center. From what we've seen in the trailers and gameplay footage thus far, she's pretty light on her feet, unlike the equally tall yet sluggish Tyrant from Resident Evil 1. She's also family-oriented and clearly works in a mentor role to her daughters to create a stronger family unit to get the job done. So with all of that in mind, her closest analog would be the Admiral himself, David Robinson from the San Antonio Spurs. Coming in at 7'3" is everyone's favorite trenchcoat and tube enthusiast, Nemesis. Motivated, adaptable, and explosive, but in terms of completing his goals, maybe not so great at getting the job done on his own, so we're going to go ahead and put him at power forward just like New York Knicks legend Patrick Ewing, which also legally makes Jill Valentine the Indiana Pacers for the purposes of this analogy. How about the slow-moving but calculating Mr. X, aka the T-00? That's Larry Bird. He's not flashy, got good fundamentals, great three-point game, both look good in hats. Next, coming in at a surprising 6'5" is Dr. Salvador from Resident Evil 4, also known as the Chainsaw Man. He's great at showing up almost out of nowhere and capitalizing if you don't have your head on a swivel by making sure your head can never swivel again. And once he starts driving in on you, there's very little that you can do to stop him from scoring, or in this case, decapitating Leon Kennedy. He's pretty focused. Some razzle-dazzle, but overall control in the paint obviously makes him the Magic Johnson. Also, weirdly enough, both own controlling stakes in the Los Angeles Dodgers. Don't believe me? Look it up. Now look, we can't leave out Albert Weissker, obviously, because measuring up at 6'3", he's a dominant force who's always talked about in the pantheon of top-tier Resident Evil villains. Dedicated to his work, doesn't need others to help him achieve his goals, he's egomaniacal, gets in the head of his opponent, and he's unflappable in the face of adversity. He can always pick himself up, even when he's not feeling his best. Now this squarely puts him in the Michael Jordan role.
Me being compared to him, I took offense to that.
Now that is a pretty formidable starting 5, but how does this team of genetically mutated monsters with claws, jaws, and nearly indestructible physiques stack up against the Dream Team? Well, you might be surprised to learn this, but they'd actually lose. 2 words, Scottie Pippen. Way too many intangibles to take into consideration. I mean, Scottie, he's the X factor. And there you have it, folks, the quintessential breakdown of the best ballers in the Resident Evil universe. But tell us, what do you think we're going to discover in Resident Evil Village when it hits shelves this May? Why do Charles Barkley and Alexia Ashford have similar energies? Let us know in the comments below, and for all your T-virus infected sporting news, stay tuned to Nerdist.com.